One of the great lies we tell ourselves is that we can't have a good life because we can't trust ourselves to be in command of our own faculties. I was going down a list of little things I try to do every single day. It gives me a sense of routine. It gives me a sense of discipline. And it just helps me out. I try to write in my journal every day. I make these YouTube videos every day. I'll try to take some time to watch a favorite TV show. I'll try to do some time writing because I think that's good. I try to take some time and read a physical book. It's just kind of a to-do list, you know? Just those daily things that split up my time and help me to feel like I'm spending my time in a mindful and useful way. And then I started to think about how if I was going to give myself points for a day well spent, sure, I could rate myself for how many of these little things I got around to doing to fill my day and make it well-rounded. But probably one of the best things I could put on that list of daily things to do isn't even an activity at all. It's more of an attitude. It's to not resent other people and not resent myself and not have anger or regret or any kind of malicious intent or any desire to gossip about people. And what I started to think is, you know, maybe that's not attainable because on any given day I'm going to have some sort of slip-ups in that department, you know. But then I got to thinking, isn't that kind of a cop-out? We can put all sorts of things down on the list of stuff that we can count on ourselves to do. And we can find the discipline to do those things. But we can't trust ourselves to control our own attitude. Does that really make sense? The truth is, if you don't believe something's possible, you don't do it. You don't even try to do it because you've already assumed that there's not any real way you're going to be able to fulfill your mission. So why even try if you know you failed before you even begin? Quite some time ago, I was raised in the church, and I was in a Christian environment growing up. And in my particular denomination, we believed in something called entire sanctification. And the general idea of this was that you would devote your heart and life to the Lord, and you would be saved by devoting your life to Jesus. But you weren't sanctified yet. And sanctification was kind of like a second work of grace, where after that happened, then you would be kind of free from impure thoughts. So I guess the basic idea was you get saved and then you buck up and you discipline yourself to do the right thing. But when you get sanctified, then you're not tempted either. Something like that. But the preachers, they would also say, well, you know, you'll be tempted anyway because everybody's tempted by things. So I guess that was a little bit fuzzy. In any case, a lot of people wound up going on back down to the altar quite regularly to either get saved again or to get sanctified again, because turned out that people of all ages were slipping up quite a bit under that particular system. In any case, though, there is a little bit of truth there that you could glean from that. And that's that if we want to live our lives to their fullest potential, we got to get over this whole notion of trying to force ourselves to do the right thing, as if doing the right thing is some sort of a heroic exception to the rule. You know, I get up every day and I don't kill anybody. I don't engage in violence. There's a lot of things that I just don't do. Partly because I have no desire to do those things, and partly because I believe that they're wrong. But imagine if every day I got up and I thought, well, you know, I'll try to see if I can make it through the day without murdering anybody. You know, I made it through 5 days clean, you know, but man, the temptation's building up. Oh, that'd be ridiculous, right? And yet that's how we look at attitude. It's how we look at this notion of having peace in our life. We don't think we can just do it. We think it's some sort of a miracle if we can make it through a day without gossiping about somebody, or being bitter about something, or being passive-aggressive, or vindictive, or angry, or fearful, or resentful, or mourning the past, or being enraged about what is not going our way, or what we're afraid won't go our way. And that's just an exhausting way to live. But once you get to that point of surrender, when you really mean business, and you understand truly deep down inside, I'm going to have a good day, no matter whether it goes my way or not. I know the universe doesn't revolve around me. I'm going to set boundaries. I'm going to have my objectives, but ultimately, peace comes first and foremost in my life. When you really mean it, then it's not actually that hard. It's just you have to actually get to the point where you mean it enough that you're not just acting. And that's the problem with our transformation attempts. Too often, we want to do the right thing in form only. We want to pretend. We want to fake it to make it. But you can only fake it for so long, and then the truth comes back to the light. You have to be authentic deep down inside. You gotta be real. You can't pretend that you're going to do the right thing when you refuse to give up the toxic things that you're hanging on to deep within. And we have a lot of toxic things that we think are cool. We think it's cool to talk about people behind their back. We're all guilty of it. And we want to say, well, you know, it's just part of society. Well, that's true. Not the end of the world. But how do you like it when somebody's talking about you, slandering you for no particular reason, just because it's water cooler gossip, you know? You don't like that. And yet you probably don't have any problem doing that to others, right? So how can you resent other people slandering you when you slander other people? So maybe you have to understand. You have to understand that you want your life to be better. So you have to treat other people right. You have to give up those toxic behaviors, because there just is no advantage to be gained in living a life that's judgmental and bitter and unkind, whether that's unkind to others or unkind to yourself. And there's absolutely nothing preventing you from getting up every day and doing the very best you can at the things that you choose to do, whether that's going to work or playing a video game or having friends or having hobbies or whatever it might be. You do the very best you know how at the things you choose to do, and you try to make the right judgment calls, and you don't succumb to anger or bitterness or frustration. And it's true, you will encounter opportunities to be resentful and bitter and frustrated and worried and all those things. But you can become aware of those in just a moment, and then you can understand that's not a game I'm going to play. There's a difference between looking and staring. So, it's the same thing with attitude. There's a difference between knowing your own feelings and acknowledging those and then moving forward, and allowing yourself to deliberately go down the path of toxicity and negativity. We do not have to be negative people. That's the truth. When we are, that's because we choose to be. And I think it's very important for us to take responsibility for the attitudes we have in our lives, and not to take the easy out of acting like we are victims of ourselves. Well, I can't have a good attitude because, I'm only human. I don't have the ability to have a good attitude. Okay. Really? Because that really just isn't true. We may have dispositions that incline us to have a certain attitude, but ultimately, it's always our choice whether we want to be defined by our frustrations or if we want to be defined by things of joy and lightness. And you might find, if you actually are serious about it, that's a lot easier than you'd imagine to make it through a day without really being frustrated about anything. Just a lot of people, they talk about things and they're not really serious about it. It's like people talk about, maybe losing weight or something, but then they always go back to the same habits, right? So, you're eating junk food all the time, and you have all these things you could give up if you wanted to, but you don't want to bad enough. Not bad enough to give up the sugary drinks, not bad enough to give up the junk food in the drive-thru, whatever it is. We all say, well, I want to change. I want my life to be different than what it was before, until we have to make a concerted effort to be different. And once we realize that we have to do something different, and suddenly it's no longer convenient, and so we no longer are really serious about it. And then instead of acknowledging that we just don't want to try, we just blame the fact we're human and act like we're a victim. Life can be pretty good. But you don't want to wait your whole life to realize that. You don't want to wait until you're on your last day and you don't have any more time left at all to realize that you don't need to have a bad attitude all the time. You don't have to wait until the end game credits are rolling before you decide to have fun in the game. So make a deliberate choice to have a good day. And add that to your daily to-do list of little things you want to do to work on yourself. I'm sure you won't regret it. In any case, wherever you find yourself on life's journey, till next time, thank you.